Good morning and welcome to a rather frosty River Avon, as you can see over my shoulder there. I've come out at first light this morning. Got a very rare day when I don't have to do the school run, so I've got up early and I've come out just to do a little bit of trotting. The river's running off beautifully. It has actually come up a bit yesterday. I think probably with cold water, so we may be up against it. But I thought that being that, probably the best bet for fishing today would be for some chub. So given that it's running off beautifully, we've got, from what I can see at the moment in the half light, we've got maybe 18 inches of visibility, something like that. So what I've got with me is some trusty mashed bread. Simple as that. So just mashed bread, bread on a hook. We'll see if we can catch some chub. Some nice chub in this stretch, as we found out in previous years. This is a stretch very local to where I live. Well, I think we'll have a go in this particular spot first, and then we'll try further off downstream. Perhaps have a wander around if we're not catching. Now, I should mention I got up this morning as well because the forecast was for a lovely overcast morning. And big shout out to the Met Office. There's a big moon up there, look. Sun's coming up over there. There ain't a cloud in the sky. So I don't think they could have got it much more wrong, but we'll play the hand we've been dealt. So what I'm going to do is sprinkle some mashed bread here for 5 minutes whilst I just set the rod up, and then we'll have a crack. Just to run through the gear, I've got my Daiwa Tournament Pro 15-foot rod there, coupled with a Daiwa 125M close face reel and a Drake alloy stem stick float. I'll direct you to a video up there, and I'll stick it in the description as well, exactly how I set this up for trotting, for chub and for barbel. If you want to go and have a look in a bit more detail, I'll stick all the information down below as well into how I set this up. And also, I do get asked fairly frequently how I mash up my bread. I've mashed this up quite wet. So again, I'll direct you to a video up there and down there, over on the Fishing Tips channel, where I'll show you how I mash my bread up and get the different consistencies. Right, we'll get some of this mashed bread in and I'll have a crack. I can only just about throw it far enough. I'd like to get further out, but the river's up a bit. As I say, it's just come up. I could have perhaps got out in my wellies here another sort of 6 or 8 foot, which would have helped a lot. If it was 6 inches or a foot lower. Also, it helps a lot when all this dies off properly. But it has started to die off now, as you can see. We'll keep this trickling in. As I say, we'll set the rod up, keep this trickling in, and yeah, looking forward to this. So I've had to move, I don't know, 10 or 15 metres upstream just to make things a bit easier. There's a little bit of a pinch point here, so I can get this bait, this free offerings out into the flow. Right, I think time for a cast before this sun gets up. It's a little bit darker downstream, so I'm sort of saving that. I did think about going straight down there, but the sun will stay off the water down there for longer, so the light levels will stay lower. Right, it's not particularly deep in here. It's probably, won't be 5 foot at the moment, I wouldn't think. Probably somewhere around 4. So we'll set the Olivet about 3. See what we can do. Nice long run down here. Of course, it's not very warm. But having said that, I've just walked down here with the gears. I'm not particularly cold at the moment. I'm walking my woolly hat just in case. Right. I definitely need a cap, knowing that that sun's going to come up over there. Right. What can we do? Landing at the ready. Now this stretch, well, as a lot of the Avon, it can be very hot and cold. So we'll see how it's going to be today. Hopefully we can winkle a few out. But if we don't, it's not the end of the world. and give it a go. We've certainly got enough visibility in here. I think it's just about right. I'll probably fish the waggler here. I do like the stick float, as long as you can get it out far enough. Alright, we're in. That's quite a long way down. Well, that's good. I was getting a bit worried then. We hadn't had a bite for a few runs through. Doesn't feel massive, but we're in at least. Promising as well. If they're on the feed. Just about to bring it back. I was just thinking, I can't go any further because there's so much reeds and weeds in the edge, which this fish has just got me in. See if he'll come out. There we go. I pulled him out. Yeah, I could do with all this weeds and grass and stuff dying off. But it's a start. As I say, he's no monster. But I'd certainly rather catch him than not. Whee! Fab. Well, he's not exactly a chublet, but he's not far off. So he got me in the reeds, look. We'll get him down here in the landing net. So if we put him back, he's going to upset all his mates. Make sure he's alright. I was just about to bring it back, as I say. I was just about to say as well, there's always chub in this stretch, so, well, this particular run. So I know they're here. It's just a case of, are they interested? It's the fact that their water's had a hit. The temperature's had a hit. I'm not going to go mad with the feed. We'll just keep enough going in to keep them interested. Hopefully keep them interested anyway. It's mist rolling across the water. I can't see the float. Well, it's been 5 or 10 minutes since we had a nice little fella. Nothing else. Thought if there were a few about, we'd be at least getting some bites. Alright. There we go. What was I saying? I just had a tweak. Again, it doesn't feel a big one. Oh, cormorant. Oh, we put him off, that's good. Yeah, it doesn't feel a big one again. I just had a tweak. I just lifted the olivette up a bit, just so the bait flutters around a bit more in the water. Oh, we've got an even smaller one. But at least we're catching. Even smaller, very lively one. Right, little fella. Yeah, I did think it was a bit weird. We haven't had another bite. There you go. A lot further up the swim. Perhaps they're moving up onto this feed, but it'd be nice. It'd be nice to have a bigger one, wouldn't it? And what I was just saying, I'd just double the distance between the olivette and the hook, just so this bread's got a lot more movement. You do sacrifice sensitivity, because obviously the fish can grab the bait and move a lot further before they pull the float under. But I just want it to flutter about a bit more in the current. And second run through, I've had another fish, albeit a chublet. But definitely worth having a play around. Obviously the mash I'm throwing in is just slowly sinking through the swim. So there's a bit of pull on the water at the moment. Just pushing through does make it nice to run the float through. A bit of flow on. Let's say it's come up a bit. the last sort of 24 hours, 36 hours. Well, I do think it's come up with cold water. Well, a bit longer in here. The sun is trying to come up above the horizon. Over there, won't be too long, I don't think. We'll give it perhaps another 10 minutes in here. As I say, I've got a spot down there, a few hundred metres downstream, which has been quite good in the past. There's a nice bit of cover we can fish across to. I think the chub hang about underneath it. I should be able to draw them out with a bit of mash, but I don't want to leave it too long to get down there. Because if the sun's up and we try and do it, I think we'll be struggling. What I do like to do quite often is sort of leapfrog down the stretch, fish the swims, because, you know, I'm baiting up. Effectively, there's no fish in here eating this bread, it's trundling off down there. And I'd be tempted to do that, to be honest. If we had some clouds in the sky, I would do that. I think work my way down to this other swim. But I think by about 9 o'clock, I think we'll be struggling. So I think an hour in here and an hour down there is probably the way to play it today. Yes, it is relatively quiet in here. I'm going to put another 6 inches on, perhaps 9 inches onto the depth. Have a couple more runs through and then I'm going to call it. I think the sun's not far off coming up, so it must be getting on for 8. See if that'll even run through. It might not even run through at that. Yeah, that Olivet's dragging now. Definitely. It's just slowed the float down. Just a little bit. I think it's just catching on bits and pieces. It's not dragging heavily on the bottom. It's just catching occasionally bits and pieces. Oh, there we are. That was a lot higher up the swim. Just that extra bit of depth. Feels a little bigger. Oh, I think he's fooling me actually. God, we are into the chublets today. He was fooling me. Come on. Well, seems we're in the nursery today. Well, he had me fooled for a minute. I thought he was a bit bigger. Well, it's got to be worth 5 more minutes, hasn't it? But like I say, I think we're in the nursery. Just seeing that all the little ones are in here today. Get asked about this pouch quite a lot. It's like a waterproof pouch. It's Fox Aquos. It's like a boilie pouch sort of thing. But it's really good for keeping mashed bread in. Hook my towel on the front as well, because that's essential when you're fishing mashed bread. It's so messy. It certainly works well for me. I'm on my hip, so it's sort of out of the way and in reach of my left hand, given that I've got the rod in my right hand. Right, 5 minutes, and then I'm going to make a move. As soon as I made a change again, put a little bit of depth, extra depth on, bite straight away. It's ringing the changes. And again, look, next run through. God blimey, this feels a better fish. This is definitely a better fish. Well, good job we stayed by the looks of it. Yeah, this is a better fish. He's no monster, he's not beasting me, but he's definitely a better fish. We're bending this rod just as the sun's coming up. Cracking. Oh, this is wonderful. As I say, no monster, but definitely a better one. It's got me in the weeds down there by the looks of it. Come on. God, it's determined to get into that weed bed. There's a weed bed down there. Stream of weed. Come on. As I say, he's no monster at all. Blimey. What a scrap off a fish of that size. Got him. Wonderful. Well, they're not the biggest fish in the world, but that's number 4. And boy, are they fighting well. There he is. Cracking. I thought he was much bigger than that. A big lump of bread hanging out of his mouth. Let's get him over there. There's a nice place to rest him up over there. Got this big deep landing net, this guru specimen net. It's lovely to rest him up in there. Ideal, really. Right, well, I don't think we should move just at the minute, should we? I think that would be a bit daft. 2 in 2 runs through. Looks like that extra bit of depth and that extra bit of movement of the bread is fooling them. Always makes me wonder when you're fishing like this and no bites, and then you have 2 in 2. Have they just turned up? Is it a coincidence? You know, what's happened? Never quite know. Alright. Yep. Getting another chublet, I think. Oh, dilemma now, isn't it? Do you move off fish when you're catching? Mind you, this is very small, I think. But yeah, what do you do? Do you move off fish? Little chublet. I think we can lift him out just about a lifter. Yeah, what do I do? Stick or twist? Okay, saying I'll give it another 5 minutes. You can go back, right? I'll give it another 5 minutes. And then I'll catch a fish. Although, like I say, you know, they're not exactly the biggest chub in the world, so what do you do? You know, we could move off here and not get another bite down there. Well, that sun's coming up. I think perhaps we'll have a few more runs through and then we'll get off to this other swim. Certainly above the horizon now. Oh, I think that was a bite. I do seem to be getting some bites at the moment. Should I move off fish? That's the thing. I don't know. But like I say, I think the biggest one we've caught today is a pound, maybe. But you never know, the next one could be a big one. Got one. Oh, hello. This feels a bit of fish again. They've been fooling me today, haven't they? How can I move when we're catching? This actually does feel like a decent fish. Certainly the biggest one of the day. He's kind of given up now though. Sort of. Keep his nose up out of those weeds down there. Yeah, he's no monster at all. Well, he's certainly, as I say, certainly the biggest one of the day. And he's got his nose in those weeds now, look. Come on. There you go, look. Coming in with all the reed beds. Got him. Cracking. Well, they're getting bigger. What shall I do? Stay or go? Do I move off fish? That's 6 now we've had out of this swim. But nothing huge. But I don't know. I don't think I should move really. You know, we're catching at the end of the day. We're catching fairly regularly as well. It's, I think perhaps it'd be silly to move. Perhaps we should head off down there another day. It's getting very slippy here. See, now we've had 5 or 10 minutes without a bite. Do we move? Do we not move? Still can't decide what to do. I reckon it's got to be 8:30. I think it's probably going to go quiet about now anyway, that's the thing. With the sun getting up. I think as it has gone quiet here, we'll give it perhaps another 3 or 4 runs through. And then we will get off and have a look further down. Yeah, let's have a move. Let's go and try further down. Right, let's say we'll get these fellas back. We had 6 out of there in the end, nothing huge. Off we go, chaps. There we go. Well, it's a bit of a swamp underfoot. But there's just about enough of these reeds holding the mud together for me to stand here. Blimey, it's not very warm. Walking through all this mist, crunching through the field. I'm hoping we can have a few out of here. I have done in the past. And a better stamper fish as well, often. We'll spend just sort of 5 minutes feeding before we go in. It does look a lovely colour, this river. I really wish it was overcast like it was supposed to be. While I'm just doing a bit of feeding, I could give you a bit of an update, couldn't I? Because I have been out a couple of times since you've last seen me. I went out last week to do a similar thing when the river was dropping. Different stretch. I fancied having to go trotting. I went 2 consecutive days. Because the first day I went, I was really umming and ahhing as to whether to go. I thought it's not going to be clear enough. And I got to the river and sure enough, it wasn't really clear enough to trot. And I only had my trotting stuff with me. But I thought I'd have a go because I was there anyway. So I fished a swim at the bottom of the stretch. I was on the Avon, I should say. It took about an hour, but I got a bite. It felt a really good fish as well. Just holding mid-river, just thump. After about 3 or 4 seconds, it come off. Oh, believe it. So I stuck it out for about another hour in there. Nothing else doing at all. So I went for a bit of a rove around and eventually caught a little chub out of one of the swims. And that was it. So I thought, no, I'm going to come back tomorrow, do the same thing. It's going to have cleared and it's going to be a lot better. And I was right. I went back the next day and it had cleared. So I went back to the swim I'd started in the day before. Within 15 minutes, had a bite. Again, felt really good fish. Same as the day before. 3 or 4 seconds, it was off. I couldn't believe it. Absolutely gutted. And next run through, another bite. Thump, off. I was like, oh, I don't believe this. And an absolute nightmare. So I fished there for about another hour or so, something like that. And had a couple of smallish chub out. And that was it. So again, went on the rove, but nothing else doing that day. Nothing else at all. So we had some more rain and it's come up again. So I thought I'd leave it and try a different stretch this time round, which brings us to today. So here we are. Right, I think that's probably enough of that going in before we have a go. So I don't want to fill them up before we try and catch a couple. Ooh, squelch. Right. No, nothing doing. We'll call it a day there. That's a shame. River looks good. River does look good. But as I say, I think we're just beaten by the sun this morning. It is clouding over a bit now, but I think it's too late to make any difference really. Yeah, thoroughly enjoyed that. We've had a few bites. We've renewed our acquaintance with this stretch, which is nice as well. It's just, as I say, not far from where I live, so it's nice to come down, and it was certainly not fishable in here during the summer. There's all reeds and stuff about this high in here all the way along, but of course when it all dies back, opens up a lot of swims. Now I am going to get out again before the weekend, I hope. Not sure exactly doing what, but for now, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed that. Tight lines, enjoy your own angling. Many thanks to the channel patrons for your wonderful support, and I'll see you all again very soon.